keep it real, yeah, I came with a purpose. Live on the mic, let's see whose method is working. Debate or dialogue, peel back the surface. Talk get heated, but the goal's still worth it. Ain't here to posture, ain't here for the gimmicks. Trying to get clear when the room gets cynical. Some want pressure, some want questions. Some want smoke, some want something meaningful. I stayed locked in, I don't move for the noise.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. I'm Pierce, and tonight I'm joined by Velocity Thoughts for what I think should be a genuinely worthwhile conversation. The topic is debate versus dialogue. We both engage with controversial issues. We both care about ideas, and we both have strong opinions about what makes conversations effective. But our styles are not identical, and that's exactly why I wanted to have this discussion. Tonight, I want to explore some of the differences. When is a more confrontational approach useful? When is a more conversational or questioning approach better? What actually helps move people? And what are we really trying to accomplish when we engage with disagreement in public? So with that said, Velocity, welcome. I'm glad to have you here. I know we're streaming on like both channels here. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your style?
Yeah, sure. And I know this wasn't on purpose, but it's actually Volcy. You've been saying Velocity, but it's all good.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Can you say that again?
Volcy, V-O-L-C-Y. Only, yeah, Volcy.
So like a long O. Okay, I'm sorry. Apologize.
No, all good. But yeah, so my style. Well, a little bit about me. I'm a person who's a deconstructed Christian. There are people who deconstruct and still believe, and there are people who deconstruct and don't believe anymore. I'm one of those people who deconstructed and no longer believes. Be that as it may, my position is kind of unique because people who are, Black non-believers. I'm actually speaking to Black non-believers tomorrow with Mandisa Thomas. People who are like atheists or agnostic and are not believers. We call ourselves, a minority within a minority. Because of course, Black people in the United States are minorities, and not only that, the overwhelming majority of Black people in America are some sort of Christian or Muslim. The vast majority, and even those who are, they say that they're non-religious, they don't believe in any type of religion. They still believe in a higher power or God, and it's still a lot of times filtered through the Christian lens. You'll meet a lot of people that say that they're not religious anymore, or they don't go to church anymore, but they still hold dear to the traditions of still praying in particular towards Jesus. You know what I mean? So because of all that, what I did is that I'm in a position now to try to normalize being a non-believer. Now, of course, there were always conversations before this that always been had, right? There were people who had these conversations, for Black non-believers. For example, Fox Soul had a section on Black people who are atheists or non-believers. You always see it online, but we are not the norm, basically. Being someone who's Black and a non-believer is not only seen as something that's abnormal, but abnormal to the point where folks actually think there's something wrong with you. I mean, you're either traumatized, you need therapy, or you have something that's actually mentally wrong. Like there's an issue there. You know what I mean? So seeing all that, I decided to say, you know what, I'm going to be one of those people that is going to be at the forefront of changing this type of, not just type of dialogue, but this type of image to show that, hey, we're normal people and we're not just all these angry, you shouldn't believe in God or otherwise you're stupid type of people. Yeah, I mean, we are people who can have, actual dialogue, who actually have thought about what we're saying and thought about what we believe or disbelieve, essentially. And that's what I wanted to bring. Now, of course, the question of questioning on religion, whether that's Christianity, Islam, Black Hebrew Israelite. I'm not sure where around you live you've seen Black Hebrew Israelites, but if someone like you passes by them, they're gonna cuss you the hell out. Is because I don't think you're white, but you can pass. You're white presenting. Yeah, I mean, so they'll be cussing you the hell out because the white man did this, that, and the third. I don't believe in doing all that. I do have my issues with systemic racism and everything like that. That's another thing I talk about like, in politics.
Mhm.
So I do talk about that. I bring it up. But my thing isn't to talk about people, talk about systems, talk about philosophies and beliefs and worldviews. I target more that than targeting attacking a person. You know what I mean? Unless, of course, the conversation just goes off the rails, and that has happened before. Where I had to cut somebody out. But it is one of those things where I would rather us have a dialogue. I rather us have to talk back and forth, and whether or not we agree or not, that's not really my goal. My goal isn't to convince anyone that I'm right. It's really to challenge and talk about what are these things we believe and why do you believe it. Critically think about what you're believing instead of just simply accepting it. You know what I mean? And it's back for me too. There have been plenty of Christians who've come towards my lives and spoken to me and said things where I didn't think of it that way either. So I decided to go ahead and say, all right, I got to look more into this. Let me see what are these philosophies that I'm not sure of. Even though I can feel I kind of intuitively see that there's something wrong here, but I still go back and research to say, okay, what missteps did I make in how I'm explaining this or the worldview, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean? So it's not just me trying to get them to think critically. They also help me think critically myself. That's really the point and the reason why I do all this.
I love that. Yeah. I have very similar goals with what I do. And when I say I do, I'm probably on the trailing end of that. I haven't streamed in like 6 months or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little rusty. So if I stutter a little bit, I got a little rust. But so like I was writing down stuff. I'm taking notes here because that keeps me on track here. Like a few things that you said, like agreement not necessary. We're in complete alignment on that. Like I don't really need anybody to agree with me. I don't need to change someone's mind. But I would like them to think. I would like to challenge them, especially if I disagree with them. And if we can talk it out, talk through it, get down to the epistemology, like we're golden. We're golden in that. Some also things that I heard you say was like you want to normalize being a Black non-believer. You want that to be like something that's viewed, kind of paraphrasing here, viewed in a non-negative light, and probably you'd want it viewed in a positive light, I would imagine. Yeah. Did I capture that about right?
Yeah, you captured that about right. I would like for it to be viewed in a more positive light. Definitely. And not just on positive of it's good that you're that way, but more in the sense of ambivalence. Like you can be that you can believe or can disbelieve, and it's all good and well. It's not at a point where if you don't believe, something must have happened to you, because of course I get the conversations with Christians where they be like, oh, you can believe, you cannot believe it. You don't have to. But then it gets to the point where when you get to the conversation of what do they really think about me, what they really think about the position, it gets to the point where they really do think that something's either troubling you, you're either troubled, or you're not basically mentally healthy, at least all the way. You know what I mean? And that's the issue I have, because they won't say it. You know what I mean? They won't outright say it, because they'll say, you can believe what you believe, but 8 out of 10 times, a lot of times when you get to the nitty-gritty, they really do think there's something mentally unhealthy with you. And that's what I want to change, to where if you hear someone doesn't believe, you don't necessarily think that something is wrong with them automatically. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing that I want to change.
I hear you on that. And yeah, I agree with that. I've seen that before. I've actually had a personal experience. Obviously I'm not Black, right? But I am an atheist, and I did tell that to somebody, and it was an awful situation. It was in the workplace, and it was a very, I'd like to use the word violent, but it wasn't physical. It was all verbal, vocal, but it was screaming. I wasn't screaming at them; they were screaming at me.
All right.
And something in me kind of changed that day, because it was just like, damn, how can people treat another human being like that? And it was like, there was other coworkers around, so it was like really embarrassing. But Yeah, we're in agreement with that. I would also like to go the other direction. I see it in the other direction sometimes, mostly just in internet spaces. I've never seen it in real life, where atheists will accuse theists of whatever variety of, be having like a mental condition or something because they're a theist.
Mhm.
And yeah, I don't like to see it that direction either.
Yeah. I never come in with those assumptions. You know what I mean? Unless, when we get deeper into the conversation, then I'm saying, okay, there's something kind of wrong with this guy. You know what I mean? But other than that, then yeah, I don't go into the conversation assuming that they have a mental problem. Now I do kind of have go in with the assumption that they're not going to like what I have to say, and I have to be prepared for that, right? So I'm a little defensive, but as I talk to the person and I hear their tone and I hear the way that they have the conversation, I'm like, okay, this person is more looking for a conversation and not to fight. You know what I mean? Which why I enjoy. I always talk to people like that, and I would say, hey, what about this thing, that thing? This is what I think about that, and the third, and we see where we go from there. You know what I mean? Like just the other day, I had on my TikTok, I had an Ask Me Anything type of live where I talk to the comments, talk to people, and I told people, I'm a Pan-Africanist, and I had someone from Ghana come up and have the conversation with me and told me that, there were things that, colonialism bought that was probably good for Africa. And, we were able to disagree, I mean, and it was highly disagreeable because I highly disagree that, colonialism was good for Africa. But I was able to have that conversation with them and have him think about it, and he has me thinking about it as well. You know what I mean? Or what our disagreements actually are. So those are the conversations that I like to have instead of, just shouting matches, because I just don't enjoy to shout. It gives me a headache,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I like that you're trying to potentially learn from whoever you're talking to, even if there is disagreement. I mean, you might still disagree at the end. They might be full of nonsense, but at least you give them, the time to try to explain what they believe in and probably why. Even if you think their reasons are bad reasons, there's still, that opportunity.
Exactly.
Even if it doesn't get anywhere. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. I've had a decent amount of experience going out in public. I've gone to various college campuses. I try to stick around my own area, but I have done it in other areas. But I found a very stark difference between these in-person conversations and ones that you will find online.
Mhm.
I'm wondering, has your content creation always been just strictly online?
Yeah, it's always been strictly online. I do want to get to a point where I'm offline as well, because just like how you said, it's going to change. I've worked customer service basically my entire life, both on over the phone and front facing. It's never the same. It's never the same, because over the phone, people will say whatever they like to you. They would say whatever they like until you push back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But in your face, you're no longer a voice over a line. You're no longer a voice over the phone. You're a real person. And human beings, I think the way that we evolved as a social species, antagonizing someone else is not something that we enjoy doing. Yeah, I mean, except for in the recent years, unfortunately, because of our administration or just the way that society has gone. Yeah, antagonizing some people has been a lot more popular. But in a general sense, we don't really like to do that. So you have to either brainwash or convince someone to do that. But we don't like to do that. We just don't find it funny. We don't find it enjoyable to be an antagonistic person. For the most part, most of us don't. Even those who voted for King Carrot, they don't like to antagonize people in real life. That's not something that they like to do. Those type of trolls are far and few in between. They're just the loudest and they get the most attention. Which is, I've had that conversation with conservatives before too. I've met plenty of conservatives who don't support them. I've met conservatives who do, and we've had polite conversations back and forth both times. So I got way off track. I'm sorry, but yeah,
It's all good.
Being in real life is something I do want to do. It just all comes down to time. You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
again, even setting this up, you know, I didn't answer you for 2 days just because of time. You know what I mean? But yeah,
Totally.
it's all just because of timing. You know, I haven't been able to do it. If this ever becomes something that it's like, you know, my full time, then yeah, sure. Then I would definitely like to go out there. But if it's not, I would need to, you know, give something up. Basically, either I will have to, you know, either not work full time anymore, which I'm starting to be a mental health counselor, so I gotta work,
Oh,
or yeah, exactly, or like you know, this kind of blows up and I don't have to work a 9 to 5 anymore. It has to be one of them. You know what I mean? So when I do hope to graduate, excuse me, by next year in 2027. And by the time I do that, once I graduate, I won't be in school anymore. No longer having, you know, 4 straight weeks of essays. Because when I tell you that's annoying, bro, that's annoying. no longer, no longer 4 straight weeks of, you know, 7-page essays. I'll be finally able to just concentrate on doing content. And once that happens, then yeah, I'll be able to buy my cameras, you know, do all that good stuff. I even have, you know, the microphones here. I could plug into my phone and and do the and do content
yeah.
in real life. It's something I want to do. I want to get to that point. Um, Now, one thing I also want to do is, because I'm a black non-believer, because I'm a black atheist, I definitely want to go to campuses that are majority black or even HBCUs. Get the permission, of course. I don't want to be like the black atheist Charlie Kirk. I don't want to do that, but I do want to do a thing where I'm like, hey, pull up a chair, have a conversation with me. Yeah, I mean, I don't believe what you believe. Let's parse this out. Let's actually have this conversation. Let's actually talk, because I see that a lot of people, especially in my community, they don't talk to each other. Yeah, I mean, they don't talk to us.
Mm.
A lot of times you have to be online uh, to actually reach that, actually talk to those people. But a lot of the people who are online, a lot of them are not on TikTok. You know what I mean? They're not on TikTok. They're not on YouTube, but they are on places like, you know, Instagram and stuff like that. Or if they are on TikTok, they're just following either entertainment, or they're following, you know, other pastors and stuff like that, like influential pastors. That's what they're following. They're not really following everybody else that has these type of conversations. And those type of influential people are the type of people that I want to talk about, that I want to talk to, as a matter of fact. Like Kirk Franklin is legendary within the black community. Black atheists know and respect them too, because Kirk Franklin does, you know, activist work within the black community through the Christian lens. He does, and we 100% respect them. And the music that he does is actually good. Yeah, I mean, it's gospel, it's Christian music, but it's objectively good. You know, so he's a legendary person. So a person like him is someone that I would like to talk to. You know what I mean? I would like to tell him, okay, this is how I became an atheist, and what do you think about that? And this is my framework. This is how I decide what's moral and what's not. This is how I live my life, and I want you to see that. So therefore, someone like on his level, even if I'm not on his level yet, I'm not as famous as him. He speaks to me, and that goes to his audience, and that audience gets a fresh perspective that they didn't get before, if all that makes sense.
Yeah, totally, absolutely. I think that's a great idea. I'd like to. I'd watch that conversation. Absolutely.
Mhm.
And you mentioned about getting permission to go on college campus. I got a very short, funny story about that. I
Mhm.
once went out to a Catholic college campus. I didn't ask permission. I just went out there, and I actually had a lot of great conversations. I think I had like 6 conversations. They were terrific. At that point, I wasn't really like necessarily questioning their beliefs. I mean, maybe a little bit. I was more so, well, I mean, it wasn't necessarily about a religious belief. You know, it was just like something broad, like do good people exist or something like that. You know, I had a lot of
Okay,
conversations
gotcha.
like that, and yeah, it was really good. And then I got kicked off, but I got kicked off in the like most gentle way possible. Just the security guard came over and he was like, "Hey, what you doing?
Mhm.
Oh, do you have permission? No. Oh, you can go over to the sidewalk over there. That's not our property." So
Yeah.
it was pretty cool. But yeah, I really like the idea of you talking to people who are more influential and you know, really, you know, getting their take on, you know, your experience. You know, getting the word out there, get normalizing, you know, atheism. I think that's fantastic. especially in the Black community, where it seems to be something that's looked down upon by a lot of other theists. At least that's what you're telling me, and I believe you.
Sorry about that. I kind of blanked out there for a second. Can you read that one more time?
I noticed. Oh, what did I say? I said I think it's great that you are normalizing atheism, especially within the Black community. I think that's basically all I said.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's something that I definitely would like to do and would love to do. You know what I mean? Because again, it's something that's we don't have. You're like you'll be surprised. I mean, you'll actually be surprised how many people view us as abnormal or like damaging towards the community. I've actually seen videos of people saying that, you know, how Black atheism is damaging for the community, and you know, and they'll bring one thing I've always said is that in America, our existence as Black people in of itself is political. So basically almost every framework we have has a political framework towards it. You know what I mean? Almost every single topic that we talk about has some sort of political framework, because our entire existence in America has been political from the beginning. You see what I mean? So even when we talk about something like atheism, they would say that, you know, it's dangerous because of, you know, white supremacy, and you're going off of, you know, like they would say stuff like that, right? I know it sounds strange. I saw your face, I'm like,
yeah,
that sounds super weird. Yeah, exactly. It's like that sounds super weird. But they would tell you like, you know, if you fall into atheism, then you'll believe in things like evolution, which is white supremacy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, yeah, sure. People can make the mistake of using evolution to be a white supremacist, sure, but you can do the same thing for Christianity, can you? You can do the same thing for Islam, even. So it's like, how is atheism in itself dangerous and racist? Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy, because I almost said you'll meet racists everywhere. I mean, I've met racist atheists too. Like it happens. You know what I mean? Because like racism is just based on like on the fact racism is just based on, you know, prejudice, and the way it operates in America is prejudice plus power. You know, so it's like you're always going to get those, but that doesn't necessarily mean that your worldview or your framework for understanding reality is also all of a sudden going to be white supremacist and racist. It's really strange.
Yeah,
you know, and yeah, it's really bizarre. But like, yeah, if you get to the point we're talking to Black Christians, and you bring up evolution and everything like that, they'll bring that up. They'll say that, you know, the theory of evolution is racist. I'm like, no, it's not. It really isn't. You know.
When they do that, how do you handle that? What's your approach?
My approach is that I simply tell them what it is. I said, yeah, listen, evolution is a theory of population genetics. It simply tells you how the diversity of life came to be on this planet. It has nothing to do with race. And I completely open it up to the fact that yes, people have used it to be racist, but you can use anything to be racist. We know that they used Christianity back in the day for the curse of Ham. They use that to be racist. You know what I mean? So you can use anything to be racist, but of course they said, oh, they're just misinterpreting the scripture. And we're like, they're doing the same thing for evolution, just misinterpreting it. You know what I mean? It doesn't say survival of the fittest. It's survival of what's good enough for you to survive, essentially. Yeah, I mean, it's basically survival of good enough. You know, whatever helps you survive is what helps you survive. You know what I mean? And of course, people took that and, you know, did all the other thing with, you know, the race and IQ stuff, that ridiculous stuff. And of course, they took that with it. You know what I mean? But other than that, no, there's nothing about it that talks about race. As a matter of fact, Darwin is the one that said the most that, nah, all human beings are related. There's no human more evolved than anyone else. You know, so he's the one who said that. Like, it's that's how I kind of handle it. But of course, because the history of the United States, the history of the West, Black people have been compared to, have been dehumanized, being compared to monkeys and apes. Yeah, I mean, saying that humans are apes, it's triggering. It can be, for lack of a better word, it can be triggering. Where they'll be like, I'm not an ape. Like, and of course, you know, there are ways to slur someone, and there are like, you know, actual studies that represent this, right? They're actual like taxonomical categories. I mean, there's categories of taxonomy, and they're slurring someone. When I say humans are apes, I'm not saying black people are therefore monkeys and not human. What I'm saying is that human beings are in this biological category. That's it. All human beings. That means white folks too, y'all. It's all human beings, not just black people.
We're
You know, that's how I kind of handle it.
I like that. I like that approach. That's probably a stark difference to how I would. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't ever take an approach like that, because I probably would in certain circumstances. But I think I would go differently. I think I would just like their claim would be that evolution is racist or supports white supremacy or something like that, right? I would say, why do you think that? You know, and what they'd come back with, I would assume, would be like, well, in evolution, it says that black people are apes, blah blah blah, something like that. And then I'd say, how, like, is that true? Like, is that what evolution is? And then I'm assuming they'd say probably no. And then I'd circle back. Is actual evolution racist? And then, I mean, that's how I would approach it. What do you think between those two? Which do you think is? Are they about the same? Is one better than the other?
Yeah, I don't think one is better than the other. They're just both different ways to approach to the same conclusion, informing them that evolution is not racist. Yeah, I mean, now I do like how you get to it. You kind of get to the nitty-gritty of why did they believe that. I think for me, since I not only have I heard it, but I grew up with it, I already know why they believe it, which is why I just go straight to debunking it, because I already know why you believe it. Your pastors told you that, your black pastors told you that white people made this up to be racist. And because it goes against the Bible, I mean, therefore it must be from the devil. And not only that, not only is it from the devil, but colonizers used it in order to dehumanize black people, just call you an ape. And like, oh, we're not apes, are we? We're not apes. Exactly. So I know that's why you believe it, which is why I go straight to just saying, all right, that's not true. I mean, you got lied to. And it's not that your pastor did it on purpose. He got lied to as well. You know what I mean? It all just goes back. You know what I mean? So what I think I'll start doing is, like, I think I will start taking that approach as well. Start asking them just to make sure. Start asking them why they believe it, so we can parse it out. And then once I understand exactly why they believe it, I think most times it's going to go back to what I already assumed, but it's not always good to assume. It's not always good to assume. So I'll just, like that approach, I actually do like it. I'll say, okay, why so? Why do you believe it? And if they tell me that, oh, we're not apes, actually, I think one of my last debates, I actually did ask that before. When they told me that their evolution is not true, I actually asked them, what do you think evolution says? What does it actually say? You know what I mean? And
yeah,
I think one of the big reasons why I start to say that is because a lot of people have a fundamental misunderstanding of it. And so I really, really blame Kirk Cameron for this, because I hear the same thing over and over and over again. They don't say crocoduck, but they do say something just as ridiculous, that, oh, evolution says that, a bird would give birth to an octopus somewhere. Like, they say things just as ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, and that's all because of Kirk Cameron. Like, it's because of him. You know what I mean? Like, he's the one who brought all that up. So, like, every single time, like, or many times when they do that, I do ask them, what does it actually say? What do you understand about it? And of course, 9 out of 10 times, they don't know what it says. I mean, they have no idea what it says. They have they just said, oh, it just sounds crazy. Okay, what sounds crazy about it? What is it? You know what I mean? What actually is it? Exactly. So when we get to nitty gritty, when I find out that they don't actually know what it says, but they know they have to be against it for some reason, that's when I try to tie down. Okay, this is what it says. This is how we can prove it. And of course, they get to the entire, oh, well, you didn't do those studies yourselves. And I'm always like, hey, you didn't build this app yourself, but you're still talking to me. So it's like I don't have to do it myself to know something that's true, you know?
I like that. I like that. We could be a slam dunk team. I could get them with the trying to lift up the epistemology, and then you hit them with the facts.
Yeah.
Might not be a bad team. I like
That's something I
that.
actually want to get better at too, like understanding more epistemology and how that works, because I definitely get into that a lot when it comes to talking to Christians and not just Christians, but anyone who's religious or believes in anything supernatural. Those conversations do come up a lot, so I definitely want to get more into getting better at epistemology or understanding it. Definitely,
For sure. One thing that I've been trying to get more into, like rather than just focus on kind of what's the right word, like a logical, factual epistemology.
Mhm.
When it comes to like, it can be religious, and it can be, we're talking about something fact, but also it can be something either moralistic or normative.
Mhm.
I like to get into not just the truth claims, like not just what is true, but rather what they think should be. And
Mm.
at least my theory on when people have these should claims, like we should do this law should be this, or I should do this, or these people should do this. Kind of my theory is like there has to be two things supporting that. One thing has to be something factual to attach to. And the other thing, and it doesn't even matter if that's true, they just have to believe that it's true.
Right.
And the other thing is some sort of goal, some sort of like I want this, some sort of desire, some sort of need, right? And I've been trying to dig into not only the factual thing. A lot of people concentrate on just the factual, just looking at that one little nugget that they think is true. I think it's just as valuable to look at that that need, or that value, that want, that desire. What are your thoughts on that?
That is actually a very unique approach, because I've never actually thought of that, right? Well, I would say I've thought of it, but I put it outside of my mind on, if it even matters. But because a lot of times, even though what I want to be true is, Superman is going to save the world, it's not. So that part doesn't matter, right? But you bring up something very, very important. What someone wants to be true does shape some of their worldview. So yeah, that's actually a good thing that's valid, bro. Like I've never actually thought of it. You know what I mean? So, or not thought of it, but I kind of pushed it out my mind what they want to be true. You know what I mean? And
Sure.
that might be a lot of the ways that I'm talking past some of my more contentious guests, because I need to understand what they want to be true rather than what is. And if what they want to be true is opposing the evidence that we have, would they ignore that evidence because it doesn't comport to what they would like to see? But what you want is still important because it shapes a lot of what you do, so that's actually a very good point. I think I'm gonna go ahead and probably maybe talk about that more, like, because what's funny about this is I think I have come up with probably that conclusion without realizing that I did, because a lot of times when I talk about things such as white supremacy, systemic racism, stuff like that, you get a lot of guests who would say that, oh, even if after I bring up research after research saying that the police are biased, over in the unemployment field there you see bias, in medicine you see bias, in real estate you see bias. Back then in the 50s and the 60s, we had redlining that leads to the issues that we have today. You have people denying this all, right? And it gets to the point where they always say, oh, it's not logical, it doesn't make sense that a company would do that, et cetera, et cetera. And I just have to stop the conversation, like, listen, why is it so hard for you to believe that in a society where 4 girls were bombed at a church, that they also wouldn't deny a home loan to a black person? Why do you think that those two things could not exist at the same time? Like, it's kind of crazy, right? So it's like I was trying to get to them, like, why is it so hard for you to believe that society was that way? Like, because again, we're talking about a society where 4 girls were killed for nothing. You're gonna tell me that in another part of the country they wouldn't deny a black family a home loan if that just happened? Of course they would. Like, why is that so hard for you to believe? You know what I mean? It's something that I always kind of try to get at, right? I'm like, why is that so hard for you to believe? And it's just like what you said. We grew up in a society where it's like we're taught to be better than that, right? So we can't look back and think that maybe our grandparents or our great grandparents were another way. Yeah, I mean, like it's hard to believe that, especially if it's a grandparent that they loved for such a while. It's hard for them to believe that this same grandparent could have been at a lynching and cheered it on. That's hard to believe, you know. So, but it is the reality of the situation. But that is something that I think I will ask more often. What is true, rather than what would you like for it to be true? That's a good conversation to have.
Thank you. Yeah, and I even take it a little bit further than that. The example for this, when I tried to explain to people, is I like to use the abortion kind of abortion debate example. And the way I kind of frame it is the two sides, like, they can agree on all the facts, right? They can agree that a fetus looks like this, has a heartbeat at this, has brain activity at this stage. You know, all the facts they can completely agree on, but they can come to different normative conclusions, right? One side can say abortion should be legal at any time, and the other side can say abortion should never be legal.
Right.
And the reason I think, and this is my opinion, but the reason I think they come to different conclusions, even though they agree on the facts, is because they're prioritizing different needs, right? One person might be prioritizing the well-being and health of, well-being health of the fetus, and the other side might be prioritizing autonomy, freedom for the mother. So it's really those two competing values, and I think really examining those values is, at least in the case of the abortion, that's why I use this example, is more valuable than talking about when a fetus has a heartbeat, because a lot of times both sides already agree on that anyways.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've talked about abortion as well before, right? And what I've always left it to is that at the end of the day, right, if we want to, whether or not we agree with abortions happening or not happening, what we should do is encourage, and let's say that we both agree, right? Neither of us like that abortions happen. Why not put in policies that would make it less likely instead of making the entire thing illegal? Because prohibition almost never works. And of course, they'll be like, oh, you know, things about, you know, murder and stealing and stuff like that. We have complete prohibition against those things. But like, we know the tangible cost of those things, right? When it comes to an abortion, it's a lot more muddy. You know what I mean? Because then it goes on to where do you define personhood? And that's more of a philosophical thing than an actual real thing. And then you can put into, you know, you can make any scenario that you want. Like, one of the good scenarios that I've heard before was, you know, there's a 3-month-old in one room and 1,000 zygotes in another room. Which one are you going to save? You know, you have no choice. The building's on fire, it's going to burn down. Either the 3-month-old or the zygotes. Which one are you going to change? Which one are you going to save? You know what I mean? And so you can go into all those scenarios, right? But just like how you said, we're wasting time. Let's try to come up with a way. Let's say that we don't want these things to happen, right? Because even me, in my opinion, I'm not a big fan of it. I don't like that they happen. But the fact of the matter is that I do understand that it's the choice of a woman. It's not my place to say what she should do with her own body. That's just what I believe, right? And I do believe in bodily autonomy. I do believe in that as well, which is why I would rather keep it legal than illegal, because even though it's a bit fallacious, it's kind of a slippery slope. If we can control that part of someone's body, what's to say that now we can't put in a law that says 13-year-old boys have to get the snippety snip? You know what I mean? And then we can go ahead and repair that once they turn 21 and are prepared to, you know, be a father and stuff like that. Why not do that if we're gonna make abortions illegal? You see what I'm saying? So it's one of those things. So I always say, let's try to focus on since people are not, none of us are big, you won't find anyone who's a big fan of abortions, right? Like, yay, abortions. You won't find anyone who's a huge fan of it. Yeah, I mean, people understand that these are hard decisions to make. Even women who've had abortions before, they will tell you, I want to have kids. It was just at that point I couldn't do it. Yeah, I mean, so it's people want to have children. So it's like, I don't think anyone here at the point of like, you know, yay, let's destroy fetuses. No one's like that, right? Or almost no one's like that. So let's try to focus on decreasing the need for it. Yeah, I mean, not just making the entire thing illegal and then you have back alley issues. Yeah, I mean, if that makes sense. Do you think that makes sense?
I think that makes sense. I think that's a great position. I'm kind of one of those guys who I don't mind talking about abortion. I like talking about abortion, but I don't really even have a stance. I don't even know. Like, I know I'm not on either extreme. That's for sure. But I kind of like that kind of middle ground strategy. I like that. And that's kind of the next step, what you were talking about, strategy. Whenever I'm talking with people, I always try to talk about, you know, the needs and what's the values first. I try to get that established, you know, what's going on with them in that regards, what they're really desiring, what's all behind all of it. And then the next step is always to talk about strategy, exactly what you're talking about. What do we do about it? What are our actions? What do we do? We have these needs and values, and how do we accomplish them? What do we do about it? So yeah, I really like that.
That's always my thing. You know what I mean? Like, what do we do now? What is the strategy? You know what I mean? Which is why, like, when I speak to conservatives, I don't typically go into, you know, culture wars. Now, of course, they always bring up the trans issues, like a conservative I had the other day. Of course, once I had one of those ask me anything, because I said I was a leftist, right, on my page. So of course he called in and asked me about, you know, do I think men should belong in women's sports? So of course I know what he was reaching for. He was reaching for the trans issue. And I've always said, when it comes to transgender women in sports, that should be decided up to the scientific body. You know what I mean? Because of course there's studies out there, but none of these studies are conclusive one way or the other. That's just what it is right now. We don't have a lot of research on it right now because, of course, transgender people are a minority of people, and athletes in and themselves are another minority of people. So a transgender athlete is going to be a minority within a minority. We're not going to have a lot of data on it yet. You know what I mean? But the small amount of data that we do have shows that there, like some of these things, some of these advantages that a male will have over a female, some of them even out and some of them don't. Yeah, I mean, it's highly contextual. It depends. So, like, until we can parse that out, which can take a decade, who knows how long it could take? It could take a decade and a half. Until we can parse that out, let's leave it up to the scientific body and the athletic associations to kind of make their own decisions instead of putting a whole bunch of noise around it and, you know, trying to defame or denigrate these group of people. You know what I mean? Because it's like, at the end of the day, we've decided since like what, the 30s, or actually since after World War II, that participation in a sport is a human right. We decide that as humankind, right? So like, at the end of the day, transgender women are humans, right? So it's like, are we going to take away this right from them? What do we do at this point? How do we handle this? I don't know. You know what I mean? Also, I don't know. So what is the strategy now? You know what I mean? Let's leave it up to the scientific body, which is why I like to talk about policy with a conservative instead of going into the entire culture war things. I talk about policy, like what is the best for society? Yeah, I mean, is universal healthcare good for us? Yeah, I mean, is walkable cities good for us? Is nuclear power good for us? Is maternal leave, paternal leave, are those things good for us? Are things like having less AI data centers that poison the water, that's objectively good for us, right? Like renewable energy, is that good for us? What is good for society? That's what we should be talking about instead of saying, you know, transgender people have mental health issues. Like, who doesn't? Right? We all have mental health issues.
No kidding, man.
No kidding. Yeah. You know, there's a group of people who've been, you know, pushed to the outside of society. Yeah, they're going to have mental health issues. I'm going to have mental health issues. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, like, it's who doesn't? So we should talk about policies that's best for the majority of people, and not worry about what the billionaires have to say about it. That's always my thing. That's why I'm always at strategy.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. It's not. It's good. I like it. I think you could benefit from talking more about, like, just before that, talking about the needs and values. What do you think about that? Do you think there is a value, like, right before talking about the strategy, before jumping into the strategy, that there's value in identifying what those needs might be?
Oh yeah, there's
Cool.
definitely value in that. We should understand what do people need. Essentially, we should be talking about, well, not only what you want, what you need, what you desire. I mean, I'm your Venus. Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay in my head. But yeah, but we should be talking about those type of things. What do people need? What do they desire? What is important to them? You know what I mean? One thing that I've said is that the reason why the far right has started to win out a lot is because they were able to hit people on their hierarchy of needs. Food, shelter, safety, stuff like that. They were able to pinpoint at them and were able to say that your hierarchy of needs are in danger, and were able to put a blame on it, right? So when it comes to like shelter and safety, that's a hierarchy of need. Who do they blame for for a lack of safety and lack of shelter? They blame the immigrants. You know what I mean? Because shelter is gonna be highly dependent on your income, right? Because if you can't pay for your house, you're gonna go homeless, right? So, but if all the immigrants are taking your jobs and you have no income, then your shelter goes away. So your shelter is blamed on immigrants. Your lack of safety, your lack of physical safety, of course, is blamed on immigrants, because what do they say? Always say, let's close these borders. We don't know who's getting in. Let's et cetera, et cetera. Now, borders are never gonna be closed, which is what I always tell people. Like the border is already closed, y'all. Like, we don't live in Europe where I can walk from France to Italy and never see ICE or never see a border patrol agent. We don't live in that. You know what I mean? If I'm walking from Texas to Mexico, there's going to be a gate where I gotta show my passport, and they're gonna ask me, what am I doing in Mexico? You know what I mean? If I walk to Michigan and go over a certain line, there's gonna be a mounted police on a horse that's gonna ask me, what are you doing a boots in Canada? You know what I mean? They're going to be asking me that. So the borders are already closed. Like, we don't have an open border. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, saying that, there's all these people getting in and we're not safe, they're hitting the safety. You know what I mean? Which is why you could turn people against that too. It's the same thing with the transgender community. They say that these people are a danger to kids. They're the one who's touching the kids. They're the ones who are going after the kids. They're the one who want to groom the kids. And the same thing with drag queen story hour. Now, here's what I give them, right? I understand the uncomfortability of drag queens, right? I do get it, because just the way that we were socialized. I was socialized in the same way too. I was socialized very patriarchal. I was socialized in a way of, men are this way, we dress this way, and we don't act that way. That's how I was socialized. So I get, being socialized that way, you're going to be uncomfortable with someone who goes against that grain, right? So, but just because you have an initial uncomfortability doesn't mean that person is a danger to you. You know what I mean? Your manhood, your masculinity isn't based on someone expressing themselves another way. It's not based on that. It's based on who you are, not them, not how they express themselves, right? So that's why I kind of reach that conclusion. But the way that they were able to hit that hierarchy of need is to say, okay, those people might be a danger to you, but you have a 5-year-old, you have a 6-year-old, you have a 12-year-old, they're a danger to them. You know what I mean? And that's a part of your hierarchy of needs too. If your children are in danger, and all of us, that's our offspring, that's our progeny, or even if it's not our progeny, it's our family. It's my little brother, it's my nephew, it's my niece, it's my cousin. You want to protect your family. You know what I'm saying? So, and not only that, just as a social species, just as humans, we want to look out for the kids. We want to look out for the babies. You know what I mean? We want to look out for them. We want to make sure that the next generation rises up. We all want to make sure that if you can say that they're in danger and this group is because of that, then yeah, you can make people believe in very horrible things, which is what I've seen already. I've seen people believe in extremely horrible things about the trans community, about people who are drag queens, and then the Epstein files came out. Ain't no drag queens in the Epstein files, y'all. You know what I mean? So they've been lying to us this entire time. You see what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I go by it. I think that's where conservatives have been effective in talking about your hierarchy of needs, which is why I think the left, I consider myself more on the left, so I'm not sure about you, but I consider myself more on the left. I consider myself more of a socialist, and I said this is where we come in when it comes to hierarchy of needs, because if your basic needs are met, you know, your shelter, food, your mental health, if all those things are already taken care of on the outset, then your hierarchy needs are taken care of. You know what I mean? It'll be ridiculous to say that the immigrants are taking our jobs when my job is not only unionized, but I have a good job already. But I also know that if I do lose my job, then I'm gonna be covered somehow, some way. You know what I mean? Like I have there's a strong welfare state, there's a strong social safety net that's gonna protect me just in case I lose my job. If that's already there, then worrying about the immigrants taking my job is gonna be kind of ridiculous, right? Now, of course, it can move to something else, like how we see it in Europe. Now they're a danger to women or whatever. Yeah, I mean, so of course it can move to something else, but at least that part is taken away. If all that makes sense. I know I've been rambling for a while, but I hope all that makes sense.
That's okay. Yeah, I think that does make a lot of sense. Yeah, it's like if you can threaten someone's need, even if that threat isn't necessarily valid, it still can convince them that this is the better solution, right? Exactly. That this is the strategy. I think that's ultimately what you were saying, and I completely agree with that. Like 100%. I am wondering though, and I'm trying to word this carefully. Like you kind of talked about a potential conservative, and I would assume that this conservative that you were painting a picture of probably was on the more extreme end, and maybe the extreme end is the bigger part. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe not. I'm not one to know potentially, but like, let's say that conservative does exist. I think we both can agree that that kind of person does exist. What about, is there a conservative that exists but doesn't buy into that fear?
There are conservatives who don't buy into all that, right? I've met conservatives that have said that this entire trans thing is ridiculous. These people they're just normal guys. You know what I mean? Or just normal women. There's normal people. Like at the end of the day, like them calling themselves, they'll probably disagree with them saying that you know, they're women or they're men, but they don't actually care that much. Yeah, you know I mean, they're like, okay, well, you're gonna call yourself a woman, whatever. It's whatever. I just want low taxes. You know what I mean? Like they don't really care. You know what I mean? So those other people, I can definitely have a conversation with them. I can have more of a genuine, okay, it's cool. So how do we handle social safety nets if we're gonna have them? Should we have a minimum wage? What's your opinion on capital gains? You know what I mean? Should billionaires exist, which is something that's been coming up a lot too, you know? So like then when it's more like that, when it's not, you know, inundated with culture war shit, where, you know, we're believing that people are a danger and the Muslims and Sharia law is gonna take over Texas, which is stupid. You know what I mean? I've seen that before. Like, why would you pass a law that says Sharia law can't happen in Texas when Texas barely has Muslims? That makes no sense, right? So it's with stuff like, yeah, like, what do you mean you had to pass a law? Makes no sense. I'm sorry, go ahead.
All of that aside, why would you pass a law that says Sharia? I've never even said that word in my life. Sharia, yeah. Sharia law cannot be passed when you'd have to pass that first. Like, If,
Right.
like, if that's going to
Exactly.
happen, they'll just take down that law and put up that law.
What of
That
that
makes
one?
no sense
Exactly. It makes
whatsoever.
no sense
What?
whatsoever. And it's all just like culture war stuff, man. It's all culture war stuff. And I'm like, y'all,
It's got to be.
yeah, it's all culture war stuff. And like, y'all, this is ridiculous. We're not getting anywhere. Like, let's talk about something. We're not getting anywhere. Meanwhile, while we're doing all this, all the AI data centers are poisoning the water. Like, we're not getting anywhere. We have a climate crisis we have to get rid of, we have to take care of. Even conservatives today, the most ardent conservatives, they are agreeing that there's something going on with the climate. Yeah, I mean, now when it comes to like human caused global warming, they're probably more on the fence of that. But right now they're on the fence. Before they used to just deny it, but right now they're on the fence. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, there are more important things to talk about, y'all. Like we need to go ahead and talk about these other things, like the entire thought that the immigrant trans Muslims are coming for your guns is kind of crazy. It's stupid. Let's talk about something else. You know what I mean? Which is why, just like how you said, there are conservatives who don't buy into all that, where they've been through all that and realize, okay, this is BS. I want low taxes, low government, and to handle the government debt. How do we do that? Those folks I can have a nice conversation with, because those are questions where I'm honestly do not know. I'm not sure how we're gonna handle this debt. I think probably the only way is we got to cut spending. Military is gonna be one of them. Discretionary spending like welfare. I've always said I don't like the way we do welfare in this country. Yeah, I mean, so I think it causes dependency and it's wasteful. Way too much middlemen in the case. I think we just do UBI, to tell you the truth. You know what I mean? So those things we can talk about. Yeah, I mean, we can talk about social safety nets. We can talk about how is America spending. We can talk about the wastefulness in the government. We can talk about, should the private corporations have more of a role? I don't think so, because we've seen what corporations do. You know what I mean? So I don't think so. So now, is there a room for privatization? Of course there is. There's room for privatization. I don't have a beef with that, right? There's room for it. But, for much of our society, maybe some of it should be nationalized, I mean, like our healthcare system. Maybe that'll work out better for us than, what we have now. But at least the conversation is there, instead of, the trans immigrant Muslims are going to take my guns away. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but get a conversation with someone who's really far right. You'll get into that. Trust me.
I haven't gotten into that, but I've gotten into some stuff like that. Yeah. Interesting.
Maybe not trans immigrant Muslim, but you'll see that. Not exactly that, but around that area. You know what I mean? And a communist as well, of course. They're trans, they're immigrant, they're Muslim, and they're communist, all at the same time. For some reason.
All right, we've been going for almost an hour here. I think I've talked about basically what I wanted to talk about. Is there anything you wanted to talk about?
Yeah. I saw something interesting. I'm not sure if you want to extrapolate, like, talk about it here, but like I would say, okay, when I first got to this page, I'm like, I'll see what he's talking about. Like, okay, he does street epistemology and everything like that. I think you and because I'm a fan of him. His name is Durante Lamar. I think y'all had a brief exchange. I didn't get a chance to watch the whole video, but can you break me down on like what was that about? Did y'all have a chance to speak?
We didn't have a chance to speak. I don't think he's willing to speak with me. It was a really bizarre set of circumstances. So I was on the atheist Discord, atheist of something. I don't remember the exact name, but I was interacting there quite a bit, and that was when I was really posting a lot of videos. And I had hosted a conservative who was interested in spectrum street epistemology, and she held some really horrible views, but I was willing to speak with her. And my whole goal was I really wanted her to. I didn't even want to change her mind on any topics. That was not my goal for the live stream. All I wanted to do was have her start talking to people like I talk to people, right? Trying to understand people, hear their needs, talk to them like they're a human being. Because previously she was just in probably still currently, I don't think I got through to her. Just basically screaming at people and insulting them. That was her whole thing. But she was interested in street epistemology. So I was like, okay, this is awesome. Maybe I have a chance at her talking with someone and, you know, actually having a constructive conversation instead of all this destruction, this just bitterness, anger. And I was like, okay, let's do it. I did it, and people really hated it because she did make some claims throughout the live stream, and I didn't go after him. I was just like, let's just talk about the method of talking with people. I'm not going to chase down these other things. That's not important. What we're talking about here is how you talk to people. And yeah, people in that Discord were really, really, really upset with me about that. And I tried explaining it like a bazillion times. They did not accept that. That was I basically did the ultimate sin, right? I was cast as this horrible, horrible human being for not doing that. And eventually I was kicked off of that server. There might have been some clashes here and there. I may have punched back a little bit, but you know, when there's a dozen people coming at me, I try not to. I really try not to. But anyways, then I was in his Discord server, and I just wanted to. There was one person from that other server that I just wanted to invite to a live stream, and I just tagged them. I was like, hey, I know you're in this server because I saw they were, you know, also in there because you can look at that. I was like, hey, would you be interested? And then they got really mad because apparently they were also mad at me. I didn't necessarily know they were, but they were, and they just basically went off on me. And then all the other people ganged up, went off on me, kind of just continued on to his server. And then I was like, hey man, I think I tagged Durante, and I was like, hey man, can we not do this? Like, let's not do that. And then he banned me, and I got kind of upset that he banned me. That is our beef.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I missed all that. Since I always thought there were a lot of things on Discord that I completely missed. Yeah, I mean, I even know there was an atheist Discord. Like, I didn't even know there was one. Yeah, I mean, because I'm in a whole bunch. I mean, I'm in a Black Atheist Social. I'm in Durante's. I'm in Kristen Carroll's. A lot of people on TikTok have their own Discords as well. I started the Black Atheist Coalition Discord just for us to have a central place where we can all talk. But even that's difficult to do because a lot of times they're not in there. So it can be hard. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I do get that. So from what I'm understanding, like the person was saying pretty horrible things. But you're like, hey, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about like how do you actually speak to people, right? So yeah, okay, I do get that. I guess they wanted you to push back on them, but that wasn't the mission of that live at the moment. Okay. Absolutely. Yeah, I get that. So if you a lot of times, you know, there's a common parlance, you know, silence is violence. You know what I mean? So if you if you don't say anything, you're going to you kind of you either agree with it or letting it happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I can get that point. The thing is, I don't want to tell you how to run your conversations, right? Me personally, I'll probably push back a little bit, even if it's a polite conversation, I would try to get them to think about it in a different way. That's just the way I am, though. I could be controversial, not controversial, confrontational in that way. Yeah, I mean, I like to give pushbacks and stuff like that. But I understand that wasn't your mission, so. Me personally, I probably wouldn't be upset at you. It just wouldn't be the way I approach it. But I wouldn't be upset at you. It's like, y'all, it's his content, y'all. Like, what do I be upset about? Yeah, I mean, but yeah, I definitely get that. So when you go out to do like street epistemology, like, do you have like the same type of because my entire thing is when I go out there, I'm doing lives, I'm doing videos, my battery's gonna die. Like, yeah, I mean, do you go out there with like certain equipment, like, you know, computers or just your phone and your mic?
I got a 360 camera. I've got another side camera, and both of them are on tripods. And then I will attach a battery backup to the tripod, and then with the USB cable, plug it right in. Big ass battery. I'm not running out of battery. I'm running out of SD card space before.
Okay. Okay, dope. That's that, and you see that that's what I need, because I do want to start going out there, but I got my phone. Yeah, I got my phone, I got my tripod, but I've been thinking about maybe I should get my laptop and stuff.
Oh, I don't have it sitting here. I thought I had it. Actually, I think I do. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you need. This is what you need if you want to do it with your phone.
Mm-hmm.
So your phone just pops right in here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a little adapter, and then you take a power bank, zip tie it right here, USB cable right up to it, hands free. There you go.
There you go. Exactly. So, because I've been thinking about setting stuff like that up, either on the sidewalk, on the street, because if it's a sidewalk, anybody can come and talk to you, like, probably like in shopping plazas, but I don't want to mess with people's day while they're shopping. So I've been thinking about, how can I do this? And of course, there's campuses. If it's a public campus, I mean, if it's a public campus, you just go. But
Yep.
Yeah, you just go. But private campuses are a little different. And HBCUs are usually private campuses, basically all of them.
Oh, are they really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, HBCUs are usually private. Yeah. So so I've been thinking about doing that, and just having that conversation and be like, hey, I'm a leftist, Pan-African, atheist. Talk to me. You know what I mean? And just having people sit down and have that conversation. Or but I don't want to I don't want to be another Steven Crowder or Charlie Kirk. I want to have genuine conversation, genuine discussions, because at the end of the day, right now, debating is still entertaining, but I don't want it to be just entertainment. I want it to be something where dialogue actually happens, and even if it's debate, we actually do talk and debate, which is why I put a timer for everybody. I give them like 15-20 minutes to talk to me, and then after that, we move on to the next person. So therefore, everyone gets an actual chance to talk to me. So that's what I've been wanting to do. I go out there like, hey, are you willing to have this conversation? All right, cool. Timer 20 minutes. Let's talk. You know what I mean? Like, what is your opinion on this, that, the third? And yeah, that's what I want to do one day.
Honestly, you put up a sign, you don't have to bring out chairs, but you can. I brought out a table, chairs. I've done it with just standing. I've done it a million different ways. But like, you put up a sign, you'll get people. People will stop, especially at a college campus. I've tried it at other places, doesn't work as well, but I'm in a smaller city, so I don't know where you're at, but
I'm in Central Florida.
Central Florida, okay. You might have good luck out there. I don't know. It probably gets hot. Watch for your camera overheating, because when I was in for the secular, I've done presentations for the Student Secular Alliance and for Street Epistemology, and when I was down south, where was it? Arkansas. In Arkansas, it was like 100 degrees outside, and it was like 85 degrees inside. Like, their air conditioning was running, but it couldn't keep up, man. And my camera was overheating inside the air conditioned building. It was crazy. So you gotta watch out for that.
Yeah, I definitely know that the phone can overheat. Man. It can get really hot. Like I've been charging before, and the phone heats up when I'm charging. You know what I mean? So it can get pretty hot. So I definitely get that, which is what I've said before. I want to go ahead and get cameras, have my laptop out there, put it on a certain stand. And since I'm studying to be a counselor, that's something else that I want to do. You know what I mean? Like, have a sign that says, I'm a mental health counselor. Talk to me about your day. You know, talk to me about your day, your week, your year. And have someone sit down and we just have like a 20-minute session where I talk to them about, how's their day going, how's their week going, how's their year going. You know what I mean? And so that's what I want to do. Like, yeah, that's what I want to do. Like, I'm a counselor. Talk to me about, or I'm a counselor. Tell me how was your day, how was your week, how was your month, how was your year. And we just sit there and talk about it for like 20-25 minutes. You know what I mean? And yeah, I think I'll definitely get people to talk about that. Like, they'll come in and they'll talk to me about it. And of course, you'll probably get a whole bunch of people who sit down and be like, man, I'm stressed out about this, and start crying and stuff. But hey, that's my job, right? It's my job to sit there and talk to you about it.
That reminds me, actually, when I was really into nonviolent communication. I don't know. Are you familiar with that?
I'm not.
Not okay. It was invented by Marshall Rosenberg like decades ago. He's not even alive anymore. But like it's kind of about what I was talking about earlier about underlying needs, and kind of how to communicate those needs and how to hear those needs. But anyways, what you just kind of described about going out and doing like counseling sessions is kind of like how I approached this conversation with one of the students at the Secular Student Alliance conference, and we talked about her. She was she didn't use the word activist. I think she used the word organizer or something.
Mhm.
But I think in my opinion, the word activist really was more appropriate. But anywho, she did all this activism, and her parents were very disapproving. Like they really hated it. And we
Mhm.
talked for, I don't know, probably like an hour and a half about how to talk to her parents and how to hear what her parents were saying and how to communicate what she wanted to communicate to her parents. And yeah, it just reminded me of that. And that was such a great conversation. And I think if you go out and do that, I think you could do a lot of good for the world. And I really like that.
Mm.
So I support you, man. That's awesome.
Appreciate it, man. Cause that's definitely something that I want to do. I'm gonna get into that, and I also said that starting in maybe April, we're in March right now, so yeah, probably April. I'm a my some of the days I'm gonna dedicate it to something else. Probably on Mondays. I'm gonna probably do like man Mondays where probably like men's circle Monday, something like that, where I talk about being a better man. You know what I mean? And basically trying to deconstruct people from the red pill, essentially. You know what I mean? And finding ways on how to express masculinity in a more healthier way. So I want to do like I want to do something like that. Masculinity Mondays, where we talk about positive masculinity, like healthy forms of masculinity. Every time I end off my lives, I always say that every man should be soft, and that's an acronym, SAWFT, which means be secure, be affectionate, be wise, flexible, and thoughtful. You know what I mean? And
I like that.
that basically like it's a holistic version of what being a man is. It's not just being just this stoic block of non-emotion. You know what I mean? You could be affectionate. You know what I mean? And if you're affectionate, that means that you know how to be vulnerable. And being wise is not just reading 38 Laws of Power. You know what I mean? Being wise is not just reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, which has shown for the past decade to be a bullshit book anyway. You know what I mean? It's not just reading The Art of War by Sun Tzu, which is about actual war, guys, not about how you interact with your friends. It's about actual war. You know what I mean? That's what it's about. So it's not just about those things. It's also about not just reading those, but reading other books like They Were Her Property or The Black Jacobins, or things like even fiction books, not just reading Lord of the Rings and just enjoying it, but analyzing Lord of the Rings. You know what I mean? What are some of the themes in there? You know what I mean? That's how you become wiser. Reading more books than that. You know what I mean? Reading books that don't even agree with you. You can read that. Medical Apartheid is another book. Someone said in my comments. Medical Apartheid is a very, very good book. So like reading those things like that. Anti-Racist is a very, very good. How to Be an Anti-Racist. That's a very good book as well. You know what I mean? And there are books that push back against those. Read those. That's wisdom in and of itself. You know what I mean? Don't just read Bell Hooks and The Will to Change. Also read Thomas Curry and The Man Not, where he points out where Bell Hooks got some things wrong. You know what I mean? So like read them both. You know what I mean? And get a more holistic version, a more complete version of the world, not just whatever Andrew Tate pushes out there. You know what I mean? Being thoughtful. Yeah, being thoughtful is not just about I'm gonna start a business and be a G and be the top G. I mean, what does that even mean? You know what I mean? Start asking yourself that. What does top G mean? When someone says you're in the matrix, what does that mean? When they say it's the system, what is the system? What do those things mean? You know what I mean? Being secure in yourself and like that's the first thing you should do And if you're a person that believes that a woman should be beneath you, you're not secure. If you believe that, you know, women should be in the kitchen and not have leadership positions, you're not secure, because there are some men who suck as leaders, bro. You know what I mean? You may not be a good leader. You know what I'm saying? And your wife or your girlfriend might be better at you in some things. She might be better at you in finance. She might be better at you in planning vacations. Let her do that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you don't need to be the leader 100%. So being secure understands that there are flaws you have, there are shortcomings that you have. Like my wife is a way better decorator than I am. Yeah, I mean, so anytime she talks about, hey babe, I'm gonna get this for the house, I'm gonna get that for the house. Hey babe, when we actually move out this this apartment building, we're gonna buy this house and this is how I want to plan it. I'll be like, all right, baby, yeah, whatever you want, because I don't know how to decorate. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and do that. I don't know how to decorate. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and she's the one that when we're house hunting, she's the one that says, hey, babe, I want to go see this house on Saturday. I'm like, all right, go, cool, let's go see the house. Because, you know, me, I could live in a cardboard box. I don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? So she go ahead and take the lead on that. I don't care. You know, so it's like, that's what security is. It's based on more than I'm the man and she's the woman, and, you know, bitches gotta listen to me. That's not secure. That's not secure. That's a man baby. You're just being Johnny Bravo, a worse version of Johnny Bravo, essentially. That's what you're being. You know, and so those type of things is what I want to talk about. You know what I mean? And tell young men that these men who's been telling you for the past decade that this is the way that masculinity is, they've been lying to you, which is why you're lonely today. Not just because you don't have a woman in your life, but because you don't even trust the other men in your life. You don't have a good friendships. You know what I mean? Now, me, I have great friendships with my guys. Like, I've told them things that I've been through. Like, my friends were there for me when I've had depressions, to times where I wanted to, like, you know, self-delete. My friends were there for me. You know what I mean? They're the ones who were there for me. And being around those men, the fact that I could trust them with that helped me out a lot when at a time point where I couldn't afford therapy. They're the ones who took me through it. They're the ones who gave me those therapeutic exercises. They're the ones who uplifted me. You know what I mean? A lot of these guys don't have that type of friendship because the manosphere told them that they can't trust men either, and that every man is your competition. But if every man is your competition, and if you respect violence from every man out there, which is what I've been in some of these forums, and they told you have to every interaction with another male has a potential for violence. If you go out there with that mindset, you're always going to be on defense, and you're never going to be able to put your defenses down. You're never going to be able to trust your homie. You know what I mean? Like your day one homie from kindergarten. You think every single interaction with him has the potential to lead to violence? Like, what type of world are you going to be living in at that point? Like, yeah, I see your face. It's ridiculous, isn't it? It sounds crazy. Yeah. It sounds absolutely insane. You know what I mean? And I'm sorry, I don't want to take over your entire thing, but yeah, okay. It sounds absolutely insane where you think that every single interaction with another male is a potential for violence. You're always going to be on the fence. You're always going to be hopped up on 100 because you're thinking that this other guy either wants to kill me or can. So I have to make sure that I can do it to him first. You're never going to trust anyone, which is why you're lonely. Yeah, I mean, your loneliness is going to be based. It's insane. It's insane. Yeah. So your loneliness is not only because you don't have any women in your life. It's also because you don't trust the men in your life. The men in your life, you don't even trust them. Even your own dad. A lot of y'all don't even have good fathers around. You know what I mean? Which is why you gravitated towards people like Andrew Tate and Kevin Samuels and Jordan Peterson. Which is why you gravitated towards them, because they told you things that your father should have told you. Or your father was present, but he wasn't present. We've had that before too, where the dad is there, but he comes in, he drinks a beer, watches, TNT all night, watches the football game, and said, "Hey son, did you finish your homework?" "Yeah, okay." And his wife watches more TV. He's present, but he's not present, is he? You know what I mean? So
I hear you.
A lot of them had those type of fathers, So it's one of the things that is a lot to unpack. I've been talking for like 7 minutes. I'm sorry. It's a lot to unpack, but it's definitely something that I want to do in my lives. Like I'm gonna do masculinity Mondays and talk to people about being positive masculinity, and unpacking the toxic things that they learned. You know, unpacking misogyny, unpacking because patriarchy is not, man, I can get to patriarchy too. But one thing that I've learned, patriarchy is genderless. So a lot of the times, the patriarchal ideas that I grew up with, it didn't even come from my dad. It came from my mom. You know what I mean? So that's another thing that we have to unpack for a lot of people. Like, a lot of people don't like to hear that, but you'll hear from these guys as well. They'll tell you a lot of the things that they know about, that they understand about the world, about how men are supposed to be and how women are supposed to be. A lot of times, it didn't come from their dad. It came from their moms. You know what I mean? So it's one of those crazy things. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm sorry, I've been talking for 10 minutes. My bad. But yeah, this is one of those things that I wanna do on my lives soon. And you know, I invite everyone who's either unpacked from the red pill, or is unpacking from it, or what just is looking for a space to express healthy masculinity. That's what I want to do for them. Like, have that space for them as well.
I really like that. I think that is a great idea. So one thing that I wanted to say a while back, and I didn't want to interrupt you because you were on such a great little monologue there. I really enjoyed listening to that, by the way. But one of the books that I think you would really enjoy, and maybe I mentioned this already, but the book by Marshall Rosenberg. I forget the whole title, but it's Nonviolent Communication is in the title. I think that you would really like it. Totally recommend it. Maybe when you're not busy doing a million other things, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. I'll put it on my Amazon list. Definitely read it.
Cool. Wow. Well, like I said, I kind of went through everything that I want to talk about. You went through a few things. I think it's probably time to wrap up. I think my wife and kid are coming home soon, so I want to spend some time with them. But
cool.
Is there anything else?
My lady as well. No, man. I'll definitely look out. I should subscribe to you, right? Yeah, I did. I subscribe to you. So yeah, I'll definitely sub to you. Yeah, I mean, shout out to all your audience. How you guys doing? I appreciate y'all. You guys can reach out to me anytime and check out my videos. I try to keep it cordial, but some of these things do become very contentious, y'all. You know what I mean? And there are times, they're far and few in between, but my mom to tell you, there have been some times where I crashed out, but it was a legitimate crash out. All right, it was legitimate. But I try to keep it to a minimal. You know what I mean? When I see a person might make me my emotions, I try to drop them so we don't get to that point. I have to keep it cordial. So you know, what's up to your audience? I appreciate being here. I appreciate these conversations. Definitely, if there's something that you want to collab on one day again, when we talk about it and have other discussions with people, definitely. Yeah, man.
I'd like to do that. I'd like to do a little live show with you sometime. I think that'd be neat. Let's do that sometime.
Yeah, definitely. We can have a little live show. We can you know, take callers, talk to people. But I'll just fully warn you, man. My Jesus Christ, my callers, the people who call into my show, I don't know what it is. I'm like a magnet for insanity. Some people who call into my shows, you know what I mean, it's kind of crazy.
I deal with that shit. People can't trigger me. Like I'm good. I'm good, man. Like, people just spout out whatever nonsense there is, and I'm just like, okay, why do you think that's true? Yes, like I'm good. I'm good, man.
Yeah. Well, what's funny about that is that may trigger them. If you just keep asking, why do you think that's true?
You know,
because they'll get mad at it.
It really doesn't. They really don't. I mean, I've done online stuff as well as the in-person stuff, and most of the time it doesn't. I mean, I've had a couple people crash out on me, but the vast majority, no, people don't.
Okay, that's cool. That's awesome.
People appreciate being listened to, you know, and
that's what I've which is why I give them, like, even if they disagree with me, I ask them, what do you disagree with and why? Like, 'cause on my TikTok lives, I have like a whole board of things to say, and I ask them, you know, are you over 18 for TikTok purposes, and do you disagree with what I have on the board? And when they say yes, I'm like, okay, what do you disagree with and why? I let them go on for like 3-4 minutes, and I'm like, okay, let me go ahead and respond. I mean, so it's like that. The only reason it gets contentious is because, you know, when I'm trying to explain to them what I disagree with, they like to interrupt. It's one of those
That's a
things.
dick
Yeah.
move.
And it's kind of a dick move. I'm like, hey, you want to have a conversation. It's not lecture time. This is a debate stage. This is the discussion stage. A discussion takes two people. Yeah, I mean, so let me respond. Yeah, so when it's things like that, that's when it gets contentious. But other than that, it always flows pretty well.
All right, let's put it in the plan sometime. We'll be in communication.
Definitely be in communication. Again, I apologize for being my barber, bro. Like I don't know what it is. I might fire him, bro, because it's like my barber was late, man.
It happens, man.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's close this out. I never know how to end these, but
hey, man, I always say I appreciate y'all, and every man should be soft, be secure, be affectionate, be wise, be flexible, be thoughtful. Every man should be soft, and love you all.
Peace, and I'm just gonna say ditto and peace.
Appreciate it, Pierce. Thank you so much.
Yep, thanks.
If you've watched this far, you know what to do. Don't miss what's next. The choice is on you. Stay in the loop, keep your feet in line. Hit that bell, catch me live next time. It's simple, it's quick, but it means a lot. Stay connected, see the moves I've got. No promises, no fluff, just what's real. Subscribe and the updates seal the deal.